I've done so.
Good evening, everyone. This is the public meeting for the Stream Bank Stabilization between Northeast 108th Street and Northeast 109th Street on the west bank of North Manning Avenue. My name is Diana Johnson. I am your project manager for this project. On the call, we have several members of city staff, including the director and the assistant director. We also have on this call Don Baker, who is part of the design team with WRS, as well as Matt Harper. They will be explaining a lot more of the in-depth part of the project as we go into this presentation. Just a little housekeeping here, meeting logistics and protocols. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting will be posted on the KC Water USA, kcwater.us after its conclusion. If you have a question, please use the show conversation or raise your hand feature at the top, not the bottom of your screen. If you are participating by phone and you wish to ask a question, please address the meeting moderator when comments or questions from phone participants are requested. If you still have questions after the meeting, please contact me, the project manager, and my contact information will be provided at the end of the presentation. KC Water has 3 utilities: water, wastewater, and stormwater. This project will be coming out of the stormwater utility. The assets in the stormwater utility are 630 miles of storm sewer, 53,000 storm inlets, 15 stormwater pump stations, and 13.5 miles of levee. This project is a PIAC project. PIAC means Public Improvement Advisory Committee. The primary function of the Public Improvement Advisory Committee is to solicit resident input and make recommendations regarding both the citywide and neighborhood portions of the capital budget. The PIAC holds a series of public hearings every year beginning in early summer. These hearings provide residents with an opportunity to express their opinions, concerns, and project requests regarding the forthcoming capital budget. Now on to some details about this project. This project will be stormwater improvements in your area. That is, like I said earlier, between 108th and 109th along North Manning Avenue. The improvements that we will be providing will be to stabilize the channel by installing rock grade controls, to stabilize the existing slope failure and stacked stone retaining wall with drill piers, and to regrade and restore the channel banks. I am now going to turn it over to our member of our design team, Matt Harper, who will continue to speak about the details of the project, and we will engage you with questions at the end. So if you don't mind holding on to your questions till that time, we would appreciate it. Matt, just let me know when to move forward to the next slide.
All right, thank you, Diana. Yep, my name is Matt Harper, and I am with Water Resources Solutions, and I'm the lead design engineer on this project. And like Diana said, yeah, we're going to stabilize the channel with rock grade controls and stabilize the slopes, or regrade the slopes and restore them with native vegetation, and then stabilize that existing slope failure and stack stone retaining wall, as you can see in the picture there. Before we get into that part, I want to talk a little bit about why is the channel like this? Why is it unstable? Typically, channels become unstable when there are changes to land use within the watershed. Those changes in land use, they'll typically increase the amount of water or volume of water that's coming to the channel and how fast it gets there. It usually speeds up how fast that water is getting to it. So in turn, the channel needs to adjust to the increase in water and increase in rate that it's getting there. Typically, channels, they handle this increase in water and increase in stream velocities and shear stress and everything by reducing its slope or flattening its slope. And it does that typically by either down cutting or incising, or lengthening its channel, which then in turn decreases its slope or meanders. And typically channels, they'll incise first until channels will do whatever's easiest. If incising, down cutting is easiest, they'll do that. But if as they're incising, if they reach either bedrock or a harder layer of material, and then it becomes easier to meander, they will do that to decrease or flatten their slope. In this case here, this channel is incising, or it has incised, and that's evident if you look at that top picture there. That's evident by erosion on both banks, and also with nick points or sharp changes or steps in the channel. And I believe that picture there is kind of tough to see, but I believe that's one of the nick points along this channel, and we saw 3 of them out there. So this channel is incising, so it's unstable in that sense. And with these grade controls, what they're going to do, we'll place them close to or at the existing nick points, and so they'll keep the channel from incising anymore, because it's not going to incise through the riprap. And then also upstream of those grade controls and in between the grade controls, the velocities are reduced, so that reduces the velocities to less erosive, or they won't be erosive velocities. And then at the grade controls themselves, the velocities will still be relatively high, but those areas of channel are armored with riprap, so they'll be protected by erosion as well. Also at the grade controls and a couple other locations, the side slopes of the channel, they'll be laid back to a stable channel slope or stable side slope, and then like I said, revegetated with native vegetation to help again protect against erosion and restore those banks. The second photo there is the location where the existing slope failure is occurring. You can tell by the scarps, or it looks like the slope just kind of started sliding down the hill. Not to get too technical there, but yeah, it's literally sliding down the hill. So that we're gonna restore that with or stabilize that slope with drilled piers, and then reestablish that stacked stone retaining wall on top of it. And I'm gonna hand it over to Don here to talk a little bit about what's going on there, and kind of what we looked at, or how we kind of came to the drilled piers option. So you're on mute, Don.
Thank you. I always forget I'm on mute. So anyway, thanks, Matt. What we have here is an interesting situation where we have a couple of different soils sitting on top of bedrock. Actually, in the channel there, you can actually see sometime in one spot where the bedrock is partially exposed, excuse me. And so what we have is we have a bedrock down on the bottom, and then on top of that we have one type of a clay soil that's fairly resistant to slides and that sort of thing. But then on top of that we have another type of soil that, as you can see, is very weak soil, and it is very prone to sliding like this. And so What happens is regardless if you put the retaining wall there or not, the slope, it doesn't have the strength to hold that up, or the soil doesn't have the strength to hold that up, and so it does exactly what you're seeing here and slides. So unfortunately, there's very few remedies that deal very well with that. Essentially, what you have to do is you have to cut those layers off so that there's no place for it to slide. And so the way that we're going to do it here, we went through a couple of different exercises trying to choose the most economical way to do this, and what we landed on was this drilled piers with a grade beam wall. So essentially, what this is if you can kind of think about it, is we're going to drill some shafts down in the ground, and we're going to socket those down into the bedrock so they can't slip and slide back and forth. And then then we're going to have those poles spaced. I believe our spacing is about every 10 feet. Sticking up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put a concrete wall between that, as deep as that weak soil is, and so that weak soil will be pressing up against that concrete wall. All of this will be occurring underground, and so you won't actually see this when we're done. But that essentially is what we're trying to do. So we're building just basically a block there underground to hold that weak soil back so it doesn't slide like you're seeing here, and then to reestablish the aesthetics of the area and help with a little bit of the slope grading as well. We're going to put that stacked stone wall back up on top of that. So it'll look very, very similar to what it was when it was originally built. However, we shouldn't see this happen again because we've got that slip plane blocked. So, all right.
Yep. Yeah, that's yeah. Go ahead and go to the next slide there, Diana. Yeah, and this here, I know Diana showed it just a little bit ago, but this just kind of shows it's a graphic that shows the locations of the grade controls. You can see those there, the drilled pier and retaining wall, and then there's a couple other locations where we have stacked stone retaining wall. Just to help out with, there was the one that's closer to the drilled pier and retaining wall there. That one there is to catch up to grade a little bit better. If you go down just a little bit there, Diana, that one right there, that one's more to catch up to grade. And then the one to the south there, which I guess that'd be to the right, that one is it's a shorter retaining wall, and the bank there was fairly steep, and that just allows it to catch up to grade sooner. So and then you can go to the next slide. There we go. And this here, this is a capture of one of the plan sheets. It shows the kind of the limits of grading. It'll show the addresses there, so you can see where the improvements are being made in reference to your house and your property. You can see the grade controls a little bit better, and the limits of grading. You can see the proposed contours there. All those areas will be restored with native vegetation, like I was talking about, where the upper slopes would be planted with sod, certainly where the yards are. So I believe that the next slide we get into kind of showing you what it's going to look like, or give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Let's see. Yep. So here on the left, this is a similar project. The rock structure there towards the bottom of the picture on the left there, that's one of the riprap grade controls. And if you look on the banks, that right there is shortly after, probably maybe a couple of weeks after construction was completed. That what you see there, you'll start seeing the vegetation coming through. On the slopes there, that is erosion control blanket, and that is there to help protect the slopes, the newly graded slopes, from gullying and erosion while that seed mix and the other plants, trees and shrubs are becoming established. Once the grasses and the seed mix and the plants and everything get established, they will protect that slope from any gullies or erosion forming. And then the photo on the right, that's not the same picture that's on the left, but that's showing multiple growing seasons after a project has been completed. You're seeing the native grasses, the native shrubs, trees. Give you an idea of what it could look like after multiple growing seasons. So
Yeah, that project on the right there, Matt, is
Yeah.
it's now been around about 15 years.
Okay, yeah, that's well established. So okay, the next slide. So this here, I mean, is kind of reiterating what we've talked about a little bit, but this is kind of a graphic or a sketch. I'm not sure what the proper term is there, but it gives you an idea. You can see the native plants on the slopes, and then the turf grass up on top of the bank or on the upper slopes there, and any curbs, sidewalks, lawn that's disturbed, that's going to be restored. You'll always have access to your driveway. Your driveways won't be blocked. There will be, I can see some possible temporary closures of one lane or something while construction traffic is coming through. But all that, there is a traffic control plan, so that'll all be taken care of, or all be understood as well. So if we can go to the next slide, which I think we got one more here.
Yeah, this is what to expect.
Okay. Yep. There we go. Yeah. So with construction, there's really no sugarcoating it, and I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat it. It's loud, it's noisy, it can be dusty. There's no way to describe a dump truck tailgate slamming on the back. There's no, it's loud. So that I would expect that, and then like I said, all the I think I mentioned this just a second ago. Curbs, driveways, pavement will be restored and replaced. Disturbed lawns will be restored after work is completed. Don talked a little bit about the drilled piers a second ago. I don't know if you can click on that video there on the right. That kind of gives you an idea. It's not too cartoony, but it kind of gives you an idea of what the drilled pier, kind of the process of getting those constructed. Is that going to work, Diana?
Yeah, going.
Okay.
Oh, it's not going?
Well, I don't see it, but
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see.
yeah,
There
click
we go.
play. Click play there.
There you go. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Here we go.
It's starting. Yep.
It's starting. Yep. Hopefully it's kind of choppy, but hopefully it picks up.
That's nice.
There we go. But you can see that. So they're going to drill down, and that bottom layer there, the darker layer, is that more resistive or bedrock. And then so they drill the shaft, and then they'll set the rebar in there because they are reinforced concrete, and then it gets filled with concrete. And then I mean that this generic video, I believe that's a building sitting on top of there, but that's kind of how those get constructed. So other than that, that's all I had. I don't know, did you have anything else, Don? I think that pretty much covered everything that is included with the project.
Yeah, no, I think that covers things pretty well. We'll finish the rest of the presentation, and then we'll answer any questions that we have about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Now, if you have any additional questions after this public meeting, you can contact me. Again, my name is Diana, like the princess, Johnson, like the baby powder. Diana, Diana, Johnson, Johnsson. If you're calling by phone, my phone number to my office is 513-0376. Excuse me. My email address is Diana, DIANA dot M like in Manning dot Johnson, JOHNSON at kcmo.org. Now we would like to entertain any questions that anyone may have. Feel free to unmute or to use the controls to ask any questions you have at this time.
So Diana, this is Matt Bond. Richard Sales, Heather Hall's PIAC rep, asked if we could talk about how we're doing with the budget on this project. So you might just talk about what the overall project budget is and then what we expect it to be through construction.
Okay, good question. We have indeed already requested and received additional funding on this. Let's see. Don Baker could probably explain why we went into additional funding needed on this project, if you don't mind, Don.
Sure, absolutely. Quite honestly, it's very, very simple. Is once we got into the design of the project and got all of our geotechnical testing back, we realized what was not apparent on the surface of things as we started the project, how really unstable those soils are on that slope and how weak that soil is. That was something very unexpected. We did not originally expect to have to design and construct a drill paired wall that like we're doing here. So that caused us to incur a little bit more effort in the design to make sure that we properly we came up with a proper solution for that. And so that drove up our design cost just a bit. As such, it also drives up the construction cost. Plain and simply, those are not cheap things to do. And so that was really the basis for the additional funding request.
Hey,
Can you
Doc,
just summarize?
this is Richard Sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Do you think you're at the funding level now that you can complete the project?
Yes, we believe so. Yes. No, we're yep. No, we've provided water services with an updated opinion of probable construction costs there, and we're pretty confident in that. And so yeah, we should have a funding level now where we should be able to construct the project.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Tash has a question there. I see a hand. I'm not sure how that works, but.
Tash? You
Okay,
want to
my
unmute?
question.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for presenting this information. My question is, how would the drilling affect our home's foundation?
All right, that's a great question. With regard to the drilling, I'm not expecting any issues with the foundations. This isn't like a lot of banging or that sort of thing. The drill rig out there really doesn't make a lot of vibration. Maybe a little bit when it gets down into the bedrock, but the foundations sit up way above that. So it's also far enough away from the foundations. So I really don't expect this to affect your foundations at all. As we went through our analysis, that was one of the deciding factors on eliminating one of the other alternatives. One of the other alternatives is a sheet pile wall. And so we actually very specifically eliminated that option because of that. The only way you get sheet pile on the ground is to bang it into the ground. And so.
Yeah. This drilling is more precise. It is a precise activity. It's not going to be where we're going to be running underneath folks' homes. It's very precise in those locations that are shown here. Those are the only locations that will be drilled and the piers placed there. It won't be all along. So it's a precise activity.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tim Kelly.
Hi, yes, this is actually John Fisher, Tim's neighbor. I couldn't get my system to work. Questions are,
Okay.
how do you, where do you anticipate funneling the equipment through lawns to get back to the sites? And second question, given that one of the houses where all the piers are going is kind of focused more just on that location, is the homeowner paying for some of that, or does all that come out of the budget? And then lastly, about what's the expected time frame that you think it'll take? Thank you.
I can talk as far as access goes. And if you go back to Diana, if you could go to the slide that showed the plan sheet.
Hold on just a second, man. I'll get there.
Okay.
There we go. You see that?
Yes. Yep. So if you look there, between 8900 Northeast 108th Street and 8904 108th Street, that's the intended access point to get to the project site, and then from there they'll be able to they'll certainly be able to access the drilled pier location, but then also the grade controls and the other grading needed or a part of the project. So that's the planned access route.
Right. There's also an access off of Manning that they might use a little bit too. There's a drainage easement that runs along this entire streamway corridor, and so they may be able to access off of Manning as well through that easement.
Yeah, the not the hiccup, so to speak, but there's an existing sanitary manhole there, and then a couple retaining walls there. So that at the culvert at the downstream end, that was the reason why this one is currently chosen. But if they're able to get in off of Manning, they'll do that as well. Like Don said, there's a existing drainage easement there. So, and then
I think you had 3 questions, sir.
Yep, I remember the third one. What was the second question?
Second question had to do with whether the homeowner is participating, so we'll leave Diana to answer that one.
Oh,
You
yeah.
answered the third one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I don't know if you missed the beginning of this presentation, but this project is funded through PIAC, and that was submitted as a PIAC request. I don't know how many years ago by someone in your neighborhood, and this project was selected through the PIAC process, and so it will be funded through the PIAC funding. Is there, and I think you had a third question?
Oh, third question was the anticipated timeline.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, right now, myself and the design team are, we've got pretty much all our documentation in place. It certainly won't be this year, sir. I can guarantee you that, considering this is November. But we are hoping to have this happen sometime during the summer, if I'm not mistaken. Don, Matt, do you have a different timeline than that, or can we expect this to have activity to construction to be sometime early summer?
I think that makes sense, and then that would work out well for planting as well if they're planting in the fall.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Don, or what you think?
Yeah.
There?
No, that sounds about right. The city has to go through their final pieces of the process and any easements that they might need, and then of course going through the bidding process. So yeah, late spring, early summer is probably the right time to start this, and then finishing up early fall so that we can get the planting done. That'll work out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I will add to all the residents on here who may receive easement documents. The sooner that we get those documents signed and returned to the city, the quicker the process will go. Typically, obtaining easements tends to be the biggest hiccup that we have when we get to this stage of the process, and that's because we must have 100% sign off on easements. If there is any one person who is the holdout, that can slow the process down. So if you are receiving documents or have received them, when you do receive them, please look them over. If you have any questions, please call them. But otherwise, please sign them and return them as soon as possible so that we can keep this process moving forward. Are there any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Absolutely. Hello.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Kelly, and I do have a quick question. I'm at 9005 residing. I'm the homeowner there, and I just had a question on, so it looks like you guys are going to be stacking the rocks. So am I going to gain more yard? Because it, like, the creek cuts through my whole yard. I'm just curious of how much more backyard I'm going to get.
Let's see. I'm looking at that picture. You said you're at 9005?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
she's right here. I'm not exactly sure as to what yard she will gain. Do you have,
There you go.
Yeah.
there she is, right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Kelly, yeah, no, at your yard right there, what we're actually doing is essentially preserving what you've got. The stream location is lined up very well with the outlet culverts that are there that eventually go under Manning there. And so what we're doing is actually that stream bank is starting to erode, and as we did our analysis, the soils that are present over at 8900 are also present there at your yard. They're just not as deep. And so we just, after quite a bit of deliberation on exactly how to do that, we thought it made sense to put in that short retaining wall there so that you basically don't lose any more yard and you keep that limit, if you will. But at the same time, this will, I don't think, are we flattening the yard a little bit there, Matt? I don't think we are. At least it's going to keep it flat like it is now.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay.
I think I just saw it. Did Tim Kelly have a question, or was that a?
No, you
It
can
just went
remove
away.
it.
Never mind.
Yeah, you can just, and yeah.
Sorry,
unless
I
it's-
still have my hand up. I took it down. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
that's okay. I'm
All
not
right.
quite sure how it works like this, so how the questions work. So that works out fine.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at that too, Matt.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions at this time? Because I will reiterate once again that my contact information, if you're calling in by phone, feel free to call my office, 816-513-0376, or feel free to email me at Diana, like the princess, .m like Manning, .Johnson like baby powder, Johnson, JOHNSON, at kcmo.org. If you think of something later on, a question that that you didn't think of until you got off of this call, feel free to, like I said, email or give me a call, and we'll certainly get you an answer to your question. I don't see any more raised hands. I do want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to ask a question at this time.
If any of your
Matt, you have any closing remarks?
I was just going to say, if any of your neighbors would like to see this presentation, again, as we mentioned, it's posted on the KC Water website, and Diana can get that to you if you didn't get the website. So encourage them to go look at that or call if they have any additional questions. So Tosh, did you have an additional question? Did you just raise your hand again?
I have an additional question because I remembered that we did receive notification that the project was going to start this fall. And now I'm hearing that it's going to start late spring, early summer. How are we sure that this is what's going to happen? Because we've been enduring this situation for years now.
Okay, so as you heard during the presentation, we did have to run through a couple of iterations to get the best design possible for this stream bank. The design team had thought that we could use one method, and then when we got our geotechnical analysis, we discovered that method would not work and we had to use another method. That's the process of designing. You sometimes think it's going to go one way until you get more scientific evidence that indicates that you need to do another method. So that pushed back the date because we had to make sure that we would supply something that would be a strong replacement for what we had found there, which was that the soils were no good and that we would have to use something that would be a more long-standing method. So during the presentation, that's why we presented that additional information from the design team to indicate that, hey, you know, we started down one road and found out we had to go another route. So that added more time to it.
Yeah, I appreciate for that explanation. But you know, the reason why I asked that is because we know how funding gets taken care of or get cut or no longer available. So for me, I'm thinking the longer that we're waiting to start implementing this, the more risk we run into, you know, the funding that we need to take care of the project.
Well, this funding is locked in, ma'am. This funding is locked into this project. We have the assistant director on here. He's not going to let the funding go anywhere. It's going to be for this project.
All right. Thank you so much for that clarification.
Yes, we invite any questions. If you have any other questions, please let us know. We're here to help in any way to help you understand, get an understanding of this project. And if there's anything we can do, please let us know. We'll hang out a little bit longer if someone has any more questions. If there are none, I'd like to reiterate what everyone has said. There is a website, www.kcwater.us, where a recording of this presentation will reside after its conclusion. www.kcwater.us. We'll have this recording on there and additional information about this project as well. And you can reach out to me, like I said, at any time by email or call me on 816-513-0376. That's my office number, and we're available for questions there as well. Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right. I want to say thank you to Michael Grimaldi for helping me out this evening, and to all those who took the time to come out this evening about this presentation. I know the night before election, you may have to get up early in the morning, but I am glad that you took the time to come and listen in on this presentation. Having said that, I'm going to wish you all a good night, and thank you again for your attendance.
Thank you so much.